All right, you guys, today in Confident Core, first we're going to review some of our main principles. And yes, I know that you feel like we might have been repeating these a lot, but it's important to continue to check back in to how we're breathing, how we're bracing, because this is a lifelong journey. Movement is a lifelong journey. So we're going to start with our breathing. So remember, when you inhale, we're going to expand our rib cage laterally. So take an inhale. Can you feel your ribs expand laterally? Can you feel them expand through your back? And then can you let your belly go so it also expands, right? So from the base of our ribs to the base of our pelvic floor, all the way around. We can think of this as a soda can. On the inhale, all four sides are going to expand. Remember, our diaphragm that sits at the bottom of our ribs will lower. Our pelvic floor relaxes and it lowers. On our exhale, the pelvic floor will contract and lift. If you don't know that it's happening, go ahead and actively contract that pelvic floor, stopping the flow of urine, stopping the passing of gas, deeper muscles lift, okay? And then all four sides are going to brace into your midline, okay? So take 2 breaths just to remind yourself of that breathing. So inhaling, back expands, sides expand, belly expands. Exhale, contract the pelvic floor. And you're bracing, the entire thing is hugging into our midline. Things you can think about, your abdominals are hugging your spine. You can think, I'm going to narrow my hips, I'm going to narrow my waist, and I'm going to narrow my ribs. Remember, when we brace, when we tighten that belly so that if somebody were to punch us, we were protected, we brace low to high. We don't just think my ribs come together or my waist or my belly. We think the whole thing is going to hug, and that hugging lifts our spine and lifts our body tall, right? So you can also think, I'm going to zip up my tight pants, button them, and then put on a corset, right? Or think of the visualization of a jellyfish. So when you inhale, that jellyfish tentacles, they expand. And when they exhale, they squeeze in and that jellyfish pops up. So what are they doing? They're going low squeeze and then it lifts us high, okay? So big inhale, all four sides, and then exhale, squeeze. Exhale through your mouth for as long as you can. Squeeze all the air out and then see what feels. Tighten the belly. Can you palpate? Can you tighten all the way down and up, right? Nice and flat when that's tight. And we're not putting any pressure in any weird places, okay? So what are we watching for? We're watching that we are bracing that entire area. So we're not doing any upper ab gripping where you see up here is really tight, but we see a bulge down here, right? So then we're upper ab gripping. If we find that, we can stretch out those ribs, do some extensions side to side, really focus on that lateral expansion of the ribs and really open them up. Okay, if you followed the cue, belly button to spine for a long time, really popular cue for a while. However, it can change our pressure regulation. So if we're just thinking suck in at the belly button, then we may be, again, either gripping our abs or putting pressure and spilling it out on top or spilling it out on our low abs, as opposed to, again, that entire wall here to here, drawing in, squeezing, and extending our spine up or expanding our spine up, right? So thinking of that belly button to spine. If you feel like your low abs are not coming to the party, which is really common for everyone, especially if you have had a C-section or any kind of abdominal surgery, from pubic bone to belly button, that area sometimes slow to come back to the party. So you may want to do some exercises that focus just here, right? And again, if it's weaker than here, when we brace, we're going to be putting pressure out and down. And which is going to cause us to have some incontinence maybe, or we just feel like there's not enough support at the bottom of our pelvic floor and the bottom of our pelvis. Then we want to watch for pressure regulation, right? So we want to make sure that that brace is hugging our spine. So again, not pushing out, not pushing down, right? So here's some tactical cues. We're going to first take our fingers, find these bony landmarks on our pelvis, go right inside to the fleshy part. We're going to inhale, expand. And then exhale, brace. This should tighten under your fingers. Gets light, really, really flat, goes right out into that pelvis. Really nice and taut. Inhale, expand. Exhale, taut. Now, breathe through the brace, right? This is going to stay tight now. Inhale, just keep it tight. Exhale, brace more. Good. So remember when you breathe through the brace, you're doing something hard. You want to keep those abs tight. That breath is going to go right up to the back of those abdominals that are holding tight. That increases that pressure within your body, which helps support our spine. Okay. So now take your fingertips into your sideways. Put them in there. Yeah. So inhale, expand. And then exhale, you're going to brace. And the waist gets tight under those fingertips, right? We're nice and flat in the stomach. Now keep that, inhale again. Keep that taut and exhale again. Find even more tension. Good, right? So when we're breathing, we want to watch those ribs really expand. We're watching that pressure. We're finding those connections, right? So breathing against the brakes. Now let's go back through our squat. So when we are working on our squat, if you have knee, ankle issues, hip issues, it's always great to hold on to something, right? You're going to lean back and take the pressure off. Going down, we find that brace and come up. So inhale, expand. Exhale, brace. Right? So now you can find that brace. We're going to keep it. And then that way you can breathe normal and don't expand the core, right? So as we're back here, it's taking pressure off the knees and the ankles. So you can go down a little deeper without putting too much pressure. Once you feel comfortable with that, come out in the middle and you'll exhale and come back up. Whole foot stays on the ground. Big toe, little toe, and heel. Inhale, brace. Right? So as you're going down and up, we're holding that brace. We go naturally into a bit of a hip hinge, but we don't have to think about that. We're going to think I'm going to brace hard, keep my body tall, push my knees out as I go down. So my goal is my feet are completely flat. My hips are below my knees. My body is tall. And then I can use my glutes, my quads, and my inner thighs and my hamstrings to bring myself back up. So use assistance. Squat down to a chair or a table, something that you can kind of gradually sit on and come back up. That's going to help engage the back chain, hamstrings, and glutes. And then as you feel comfortable, come out into your air squat in the middle. Remember on our hip hinge, we have something in front of us. We have a slight knee bend. Again, we put a pull through our spine from head to tail. It's completely straight. We're going to inhale, brace. We hip hinge forward. So here, my bum went back. My shins are perpendicular to the ground, right? Completely vertical. I'm going to squeeze my glutes, come right back up, right? It's simply a hinge. When do we use this? Closing a dishwasher, picking something off the ground, carrying things. We want to know that we can hip hinge safely. One of the biggest things we do all day long, if you're putting a baby in a stroller, if you're picking a child up, hip hinge back and coming up. So you want to feel hamstrings and glutes. As you feel more comfortable with that motion, you can hold on to a weight or something heavy in front of you to give you that resistance to the hamstrings and the glutes. Then we go on to a deadlift. You start with that hip hinge, and then once your object gets around the knees, just simply bend the knees, right? So now we're here, our shins are still pretty vertical, and then we're gonna go up till our object's about up to our knees, and then we stand up and squeeze. Hip hinge, bend the knees, drive up, and squeeze. Hip hinge, bend the knees, drive it, hold, and squeeze, right? So practicing these movements slowly with light weight, gradually increasing our weight, helps us to strengthen our core, strengthen our back, make sure we're using our hamstrings and our glutes. We don't need to rush that process. We want the whole body to get stronger as a unit. I hope that helps with the education part and our education review. Now let's get moving.